Hello everyone. Today I am going to start our third sem paper, which is an elective in the material science domain. That is the paper title, The Solid State Physics for Materials. And I'll be handling the third unit, that is about the phase diagram as well as excitations in solids. And today I will start discussing about the phase diagram. The phase diagram, which is an important topic in materials, because the phase diagram can be used to predict the phase changes that have occurred in an alloy and that has been exposed to particular heat treatment process. This is important because the properties of the metal component depend on the phase present in the metal. So the definition of a phase diagram is actually a diagram in the space of relevant thermodynamic variables, for example temperature and compositions, indicating phases in equilibrium, which is called the phase diagram. So phase diagram is the map that gives the relations between phases in equilibrium in a system as a function of temperature, pressure and compositions. The map that distinguishing the regions of stability of various phases, which is called the phase diagram. So if you want to know what is a phase, which is a chemically homogeneous, physically distinct and mechanically separable part of the system. So here we describe system as one of the alloy. If you have more than one component is mixing together, we can form alloy or solutions. So that kind of things are called the system. So system is basically a kind of alloy. So if you want to know, I don't know whether you understood it correctly, the phase diagram. So in the next slide, I'll be describing with an example, which is a alloy of, we'll discuss in detail about a copper nickel alloy, and we'll discuss how phases are formed, phase diagram is described, which is a very simplest example. So in order to understand the phase diagram better, let us consider a common alloy, that is a copper nickel alloy, and it is also called copper nickel system. So the copper is having a closed cubic pattern CCP structure, and nickel also having similar structure, cubic closed packing structure. And the melting point of copper is known as it is at 1085 degrees Celsius, and for nickel the melting point is at 1453 degree Celsius. Now let us consider a one dimensional phase diagram. As you see here on the left hand side, it is of copper, and we only have one axis, that is temperature in degrees Celsius, and we have marked one point there, that is TMCU, that is the melting point of Cu. That value is 1085 degrees Celsius, and similarly we can have a nickel which is having a higher melting point, and that is being marked here, the TMNI, you can see here. So if you in this single phase diagram, up to this melting point the material is in the pure solid form, and above this melting point it becomes liquid. So if you increase the temperature anymore, it become more liquid solutions. So at this melting point there is an equilibrium state between liquid and solid state. Similarly here for nickel, up to this one, up to this TMNI, this is in solid form, and above this point this is in the liquid format. Okay. Now we consider another axis on the x directions. So now we have two axes. This is called the composition axis, and here on the left hand side it is 100% copper, and on the right hand side it is 100% nickel. So this axis we keep the unit that is in the weight percentage of nickel. So on the left hand side, when it is a pure copper, the weight percentage of nickel is 0, and on the right hand side it is a pure nickel and the weight percentage will be 100. So in between these two, there will be a somewhere in between there will be a 50 mark, 50 weight percentage of nickel. So that means the alloy formed is 50 percentage of copper and 50 percentage of nickel. Now we want to know where this conversion of solid to liquid is happening. So in order to simplify this, we just consider that this is 50 percentage, and we mark a line along the 50 percentage, and we extrapolate this 2 point. We connect this TM CU as well as the TM NI with a straight line. So this we just connected this. We assume that there is a linear relations. So even when we increase the composition, when we make the alloy, this the variation in the melting point is a linear function. So it will be varied in a linear fashion. So we consider this format, and here here we take just in order to find out what will be the 50% percentage weight percentage nickel, where will be the conversion is happening from solid to liquid. Just extrapolate these lines, and this is the point where these two meet. And if you consider this the value of temperature at which this conversion is happening is, we can just take a mean of these two, the melting point of copper and nickel, and that is 1453 and 1083. That will be 1269 degrees Celsius. But so this is what we were in an assumption that this melting point is a linear function. So even when we increase the alloy concentrations, the melting point will change in a linear fashion. But experimentally, it is proved that the melting is not happening exactly at the central point. So that is not happening at one particular temperature. So for the pure form of copper or nickel, this conversion is happening at a particular value of temperature, and we call it as the melting point. But in this case, when an alloy is formed, this conversion is not happening at a particular temperature, and so this is the real case. So in this case, we can see that there is a point. We mark this point for 50 percentage. There is a delay happening. Okay. So we for 50 percentage we consider this point Ts at which the this material is started melting. So this Ts is the initial point at which the material is started melting, and it is not a complete solution. And on increasing the temperature further, there is a point called TL at which it is completely become liquid. So this is not happening at a one particular point. Similarly, we can consider this for different values of concentration, weight percentage, and this is for 25 percentage. TS is happening at this point, and TL is at this point. So TL is the temperature at which the solid this becomes completely, the alloy become completely liquid. Similarly, we can do it for different temperature range. So on the right hand side, you are seeing for 75 percentage weight percentage, and now we can connect all these points. If you connect all these points, uh, this will be the structure. Okay, so this is the point. We'll get these two lines. So the camera response is not so prompt, that's why there is a delay. Okay, you can see in this picture the bottom line, you connect all those TS point, and on the top line we connect all those TL points, and you'll get this kind of shape. So below TS, I marked that alpha, that represents the solid state. So this is a at alpha represents a solid solutions, which is in this case it is called the substitutional solid solution of copper and nickel, because both have similar crystal structure. We discussed that because both is having cubic close packing structure, so that both will have similar crystal structure, so that this can occupy, one can occupy the space of the another. So that is a pure substitutional solid solution of copper and nickel, and we represent that one as alpha. And on the top above TL, it will be a complete liquid solution, and we can mark it as L. I didn't write it there, so that is an L, and below it is alpha. So in between these 2 points, there is a lens shaped system where where the solid and liquid will be in equilibrium. So inside this one, the solid state and liquid state will be in the equilibrium positions. So that is the phase diagram. So this is the in simplest form. This is the phase diagram where we have two axes. On the x-axis it is a compositional axis, and on the y direction it is a temperature axis. And below this lens shaped system, this is a solid solution, substitutional solid solution, in this case for copper nickel, and above this one it is a liquid solution. So this line which separate the solid solution from this lens shape, the equilibrium position of liquid and solid, that is called the solidus line. And on the upper portion where this is completely converted into liquid, that line is called the liquidus state. So we have the alpha, that is the solid state, then the solidus state where the conversion of started. So in between the solidus and liquidus state, this is the mixture of this will be an equilibrium state, that is a mixture of liquid and solid state, and above this one, this is a liquidus form. So this is the simplest form of the phase diagram. It represents what phases are in equilibrium at different composition and temperature. So we can see that at for a particular value of composition, what will be the phases, what phases should be at equilibrium and at what point, at what temperature, and this is represented in the phase diagram. I hope you are clear about the phase diagram. An alloy is a combination either in solution or compound of two or more components, mostly one of which will be a metal. So you can see an example on the right hand side, which is an aluminum copper alloy, in which there are two different phases are formed. The dark phases we represented using alpha, and the lighter phase, that is you see in the white color, that is called beta. So these are two different phases. As I told earlier, a phase is a chemically homogeneous, physically distinct, and mechanically separable part of the system. We basically classify the phases of matter into three groups: the liquid, solid, and gas. But when you discuss in the phase diagram, phases in this level, will each in the solid phase itself, there are different crystal structures. You know about different different type of crystal structures, and each of them will be considered as a different phases. For example, iron can have BCC and cubic closed packing structure, and both are so those are different phases of iron. So phase. So if you in an alloy, if you are mixing two different type of components, you'll get a different alloy. That is we call binary alloy. Then there are, if you mix three components, it will be ternary alloy, and so on. And the resultant alloy will be having properties totally different from the parent components. That's most of the things you know. And the component, if you the components are the independent chemical species. It can be elements or compound in terms of which the composition of the system is specified, which are called the components. In the previous example, we discussed about the copper nickel alloy, in which the components are the copper and nickel. Here we will see some typical examples: the systems, components and phases. So first one in the system is water. So water will be having the components H2O. So always the ratio of the hydrogen and oxygen will be fixed. There will be two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of oxygen, and the resultant phase will be a liquid. The H2O will be the water will be in the liquid format. So this is having one component and one phase. In the next slide, we will see water plus ice. So there are two phases. There are two phases. One is water, another phase is ice. But the component is again only H2O. So there is only one component, two phase system. Next is the brine, which is sodium chloride in water, high concentration of sodium chloride in water, which form a uniform solution, that is the liquid solution. So this is having one phase, but there are two components. So we can have two components with one phase. And the fourth example is mild steel, where there is a small percentage of carbon is present in the iron. And so the components, there are two components, but the resultant phase is also there are two components. So depending on the concentration of copper and iron, we can have two phases. One is alpha and other one is Fe3C. So there are certain rules which governs this. If you want to have mixed components and to form different phases, there are certain rules that is called the Gibbs phase rule, which we will be discussing in the later slide. The other terminologies used in phase diagrams are: one is system, which can be referred as the specific body of the material under considerations, or it's basically alloy itself. If you are considering an alloy, copper nickel alloy, that we can call as the system. Now the solid solutions. So solid solution basically consists of different type of solutes which which occupy either as an substitutional or interstitial positions in the solvent. So we are mixing a solute into the solvent, and it can substitute the positions in the solvent itself, so that it can form a uniform solutions. So that is called the solid solution. So there is only one phase. Once it is mixed together, there will be only one phase. Next is solubility limit. So as you know, if you are putting solute into the solvent, there is a limit up to which we can add solute, so that that is called the solubility limit. If we exceed this limit, that may lead to formation of different phases. So we cannot form a uniform solution if we are putting excess solute into the solvent. So there is a limit that is called the solubility limit. In order to make things understandable, I will discuss what is the solubility limit of for sugar in water at 20 degrees Celsius. So you can see the phase diagram, that is the sugar water phase diagram on the right hand side, where the graph is between the temperature and compositions as we discussed. And you can see that it is solid sugar on the right hand side above the 65. It is a mixture of liquid plus solid, and on the left hand side it can form liquid above certain temperature. So the solubility limit will depending on the temperature as well. So if you increase the temperature, you can mix things better, so that the solubility limit is also increasing. In this figure, at 65 weight percentage sugar at 20 degrees Celsius, and if the concentration is less than 65 degree sugar, then it will be a syrup. It will be a solution, provided the concentration is less than 65 and it is which is at 20 degrees Celsius. So it is clear here. If the concentration, if at the same temperature value, if the concentration is increased above 65 degree, it cannot form a solid solutions. It will be a mixture of different phases, that is the syrup plus sugar.